Hi, welcome to Diving into Deep Waters. I'm your host, Erin Rowling. And I just realized when I put this shirt on, if you're watching the video, it's my church's shirt. It's like, in order to see it, I'd have to wear like this. I guess I could. That's weird. But how I sit changes. I don't know. But guess what? I've been incredibly busy today, a lot going on. And I'm like, I'm not changing. So sometimes you won't see it, sometimes you will. Anyways, now it's all weird. That's how it's going today. I smell like earth. I've been in the earth today, gardening and trying to do all the things that one needs to do before an open house. And so, whew, it's it's all good. This is after dinner. I'm recording. I might be a little goofy because I'm getting tired, but it's all good. It's great. So here we are. I don't want to miss being with you guys, and I have a trip this weekend. Not like a pleasure trip really. I will see all of my family, but unfortunately, my uncle passed away a few months back, and so we're doing his celebration of life. And so yeah, just lots of let's get ready for an open house and let's throw a trip in there while we're at it. And yeah, lots of other things too. But it's all good and I have a lot to be thankful for. And so, you know, here we are. And if you're feeling like that, if you feel like that, maybe that's resonating with you right now and you're like, that's my life. That's my life right now. Like I'm not even gonna show you my nails because I probably have dirt in them. That's life. That's what we're going through. And that's what I love about doing this podcast because I'm just going to be real with you and we're just going to do it and we're going to do life together and we're going to make it. We're going to make it through and it's going to be all kinds of good. So, to get started, I think it's been a while since we've had an Abby story. And what is this podcast without an Abby story? Tell me. So, actually I was thinking about it and thinking, this podcast, maybe I've said this before. Who knows what I've said and what I haven't said. Especially when I'm tired. Couldn't tell you. But I feel like I am documenting my children's lives. Some people do scrapbooks, some people do journals. I have a podcast, and that is how we are documenting the lives of my children by me sharing everything that's going on in their lives or what is happening. So I think I'm winning. I think I'm doing, and here they can see my face now. So when I die, because it's when some of you are like, it's very morbid, Erin. Yeah, it is. Actually, one of my kids asked me at dinner tonight how much, I think it was Abby, actually, how much money do we get when you die? Excuse me? And then she was doing this like chokehold. She goes, it's really easy to choke mom. I'm gonna sleep with one eye open tonight. But anyways, so here's the story. So we had a fundraiser dinner a while back, and we have a fundraiser dinner. I don't know if I mentioned it or talked about it. I can't remember sometimes what I talk about at church and what I talk about in this podcast or what I talk to people in my everyday life. I'm a talker. What can I say? But we needed to raise money for our roof because we've done half of the roof. The other side of this roof needs to be done. And I kind of was joking with someone the other day. I was like, a leaky roof would actually make it easy when you want to baptize someone. Just stick them under the leak. Actually, leaky roofs are not funny. We have one actually in Abby's room right now. When I say, like sometimes things just like break down and it just like lots of things break down. And so, yeah, Abby's room has a leak in it. And so hopefully we got that fixed. But it's no fun having your bed wet in the middle of the night. So we need a new roof at the church. And we do this like auction thing basically. And it's kind of like where you can you buy tickets and you stick them in the buckets. You've probably all been to one like that. And For a few years now, Abby has wanted, usually we have a TV and there, and she wants a TV so bad, which is interesting that she wants one because I've always been like, no one's having a TV in their room. I have a TV in my room, but you're not going to have a TV in your room kind of thing. And so, but I don't know what happens. You get tired by the last kid and you just are like, well, I don't know. And also, I think she kind of overtakes the main TV. Why does the youngest do this? But she controls it apparently. And so Paul's like, put a TV in her room, then I don't have to worry about it. So she's wanted this TV, wanted it, wanted it. Every year she puts most of her tickets in for the TV. And last year she felt good about it. She thought that she was gonna win this TV. And so she was just like prepared and didn't win it. And this older couple won it. And she was like, what are they going to do with it? Like, she thinks older people have everything that they need. So, what could they possibly need another TV for? Or I think in her mind, too, she was like, they're older. They can afford a new TV. I don't have any money. I can't afford a TV. And so she was pretty disappointed, I have to say. I don't even know if we won anything that year, which it's fine. It's a fundraiser, right? So she was like, okay, the fundraiser's coming up. I'm going to win my TV. But she kept talking about it. And then Paul looked at her and goes, Abby, we don't have a TV because people donate things for you to put in your auction. No one donated a TV. And so he's like, Abby, we actually don't even have one. And she was just crushed. Just like she couldn't believe nobody had donated a TV. What's wrong with you people? And so she was pretty sad. And then one day Paul came home and he was like, Abby, I got the best news for you. So the people who won the TV last year, it's still in the box in their house. And she was like, I knew it. I knew they didn't need a TV. And that could have been in my room. And Paul's like, but they donated it back to the auction. They're not giving it to you, but they donated it back to the auction. So she was on cloud nine because now she has an opportunity to get this TV. So we get to the fundraiser dinner, and this girl is ready. And she has told, everybody knows who Abby is at church. And so they all knew that she really wanted it because she had told everybody that she wanted it. And people were super kind in putting tickets in. They're like, Abby, if I win the TV, I'm going to give it to you. And I mean, sometimes as a parent, you pray these silly little prayers like, Lord, here's this girl. She really wants this TV. Like, it would make her so happy. Is it the end of the world if she doesn't get the TV? Absolutely not. But sometimes as parents, we just pray these little prayers for our kids because, our heart goes out to them. We just want to see good things for them. And although I don't know, is a TV good for you? I don't know. She watches Barbie movies on it. She doesn't watch anything else on it. But, or volleyball. We watch lots of college volleyball, which is great, actually. It's very interesting. So she puts almost all of her tickets in for this. And I was very proud of her because as I was walking through the line with her, she was like, are you going to put tickets in for me, Mom? And I was like, of course, Abby, I will put tickets in for you. And then she would see something that she knew I wanted. And she was like, I'll put in some tickets for you, Mom, which I just thought was super great. I did forget one part because as she was talking about this, I was like trying to prepare her for the fact she may not get this TV. And so I was like, you may not get it or whatever. And she was like, you know what? I got to be humble. I just got to be humble about this, Mom. Now, what does humbleness have to do with a TV? I have no clue, but it's kind of her line lately. Like anything that she goes through, she's like, I need to be humble about that. Where that came from, I don't know, but you can always be humble, so it's fine. We'll stick with it. So, she's putting tickets in. Even when she would get to an item that Paul wanted, she'd put some tickets in. So very proud of her for not being selfish about only expecting people to put in for her, but not being willing to return the favor. So she's putting in all of these tickets. And I mean, she's just like, when are we going to draw? When are we going to draw? when is this going to happen? And so we finally get to the drawing. And I mean, she lays out her tickets, so she's like, Mom, you just make sure you look at your tickets, but make sure you look at my tickets. Then Pulse, making sure I'm looking at his tickets. Like everything they would like call out, he'd be like, I know how to look at tickets, y'all. So they go to do the ticket. Our friend Steve, he's the one who calls out the numbers. And he picks up the one from the TV and she's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, Mom, it's the TV. And a ticket falls out of the bucket onto the floor. And our friend Roger is helping. And so he goes, well, here's this ticket. And Steve goes, well, I guess this is the ticket. And he reads the number. She looks down at her things and she sighs because she does not hear her number. Well, he reads it. I think he read it again. And then she like looked down at her tickets again. And then she was like, wait. Okay, I've been at a Justin Bieber concert with gazillion screaming girls at the top of their lungs. Yeah, Abby rivaled them. I don't know if it's because it was right in my ear. Actually, it was this ear. Or what, but yeah, it was loud. And I mean, she was like, tears sprung to her eyes. I mean, Kara, who was doing photos, got a picture of her. I mean, just the most delighted human, as if she had won $1 million. Her heart's desire had been answered for this TV that she has been desiring for the last several years. And the next day I shared this story in church. So if you go to our church, you already heard this story, but we can hear it again. Because it just reminded me, and I was just talking to everyone, it reminded me of just like how special we are to God. And it just, I don't know, it floored me as a mother. It floored me as a human, knowing how much she wanted this. And the fact that God would just like be like, you know what? I see that desire and I'm going to grant that desire. Something that really doesn't have a lot of value. It's not important or anything like that. I mean, the very fact that her ticket, nobody else won it and gave it to her, which I know everybody would have done that because everyone is super kind. But the fact that her ticket jumped out of the bucket, it was the weirdest thing. And that was her ticket. I mean, it was just so cool to watch that all go down. And as I was just basically sharing in church, like, God cares. He cares about something as stupid. I mean, not, you know what I mean? Like as a TV. And it was interesting because a friend of mine texted me after service and she said, you shared that story and you talked about God winks, which we've done a podcast about God winks. But she said, actually on my way to church, I asked God, could you give me a God wink? And she's like, and I felt like you were talking about this, and I just felt like it was a God wink that I had been asking for. And it just encouraged my heart. Like, I don't know, we serve this God. If you love Jesus and you serve him, who cares? And it's just something that, and also just to remind myself is not only did I see it, but she saw it because she won it. And then she was like, can we set it up tonight? And I was like, maybe your brother will. And I was tired, you guys. I was so tired. But you know what I did? I came home because she was so excited about it. And we set it up in her room. She wasn't even going to watch anything because she was going to go to bed. But she wanted to take a picture of it, send it to her siblings. She was so excited. And as we were setting it up, I said, Abby, did you thank God? And she goes, oh, I did, Mom. I thanked him so many times. And then she relived the story and talked about my ticket jumped out of the bucket. And what are the chances of that? I really think that God did that. And, she could see that God did that for her, which is exactly one of the best parts of it. I mean, I could see it, but the fact that she saw it was just, I don't know, pretty amazing. And I know, some of you are like, oh, are we doing, I don't know, maybe you don't feel like this way at all. I never get tired of God winks. I actually feel like, because I've contemplated kind of doing this podcast, but literally since I've contemplated it, not every day, but pretty close to it, someone has said, you know what I've had happen to me? A God wink. And then they share their story with me. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is happening all around us. And I want to talk about it. So I don't know if we want to call this God winks part two, or I don't know. That's not where we're calling it. But it just seems to be a topic that keeps coming up. And so that's what we do on this podcast. We keep talking about that because something I realized too, not only do I love when God gives me a God wink, but I also realize I love even more when I get to be a part of a God wink. Okay. It literally, I don't know. I was thinking about this as I was writing this, and I was like, I was sitting outside and it was a beautiful day. Nature is beautiful. And I was just thinking, I literally just, I don't know, my heart swelled with the thought of like, as much as I love to receive it, oh my goodness, it's on another level when you get to be a part of that. And I know that I've probably missed many opportunities to do this because I'm human. But what's interesting about the next story that I'm going to tell you is even though I missed an opportunity, I feel like it came back around and God gave me another opportunity. And I'm so glad He did because number one, I get to share it with you and I'm super excited about it. And that's just God being God. He's loving, He's kind. He's like, okay, you missed the first one. Let's give you another chance. And I love that about Him. So I have talked about my green thumb, or lack of, I guess we should say. And it's interesting because I would never classify myself as having a green thumb. If someone would say, "Are you a good gardener?" I would say no. I wouldn't classify myself as that. But it's just interesting because something that we can think we're not good at, we can still pursue. And will I ever have a green thumb? Probably not. But despite that, I find a lot of joy in gardening. I don't know, it gives me a lot of peace. I like digging in the dirt. I like seeing things grow. I'm sad when things don't grow because sometimes that happens. Actually, I realize some of it is not my fault because I'm not going to put my nails too much in there because they're dirty. But we have a plow, like we get our driveway plowed, and they're killing my stuff, you guys. So I'm going to put some stuff up this winter so they don't keep killing my things because it wasn't me, it was them. But my Abby again, she made a comment to me and it just kind of took me by surprise because we were talking about summer because summer is coming, we're wrapping up school, woohoo, and all of those things. I'm just excited I don't have to make lunches for a little while because she needs her lunch made and she likes salads, which is great. Okay. It's good, but it takes a lot of work. Anyways, so, but I don't know if I asked her or if she said this is what summer is to me. Somehow the topic came up. What is summer? Like, what makes you feel like it's summer? And she said, you know what makes it feel like summer to me? She's like, when Dad is out on his tractor, he's mowing the lawn, like just seeing him out there. And she's like, and then Mom is like fiddling with her plants and watering them. She was like, that is summer. And it just took me by surprise. Something I'm really not very good at, but something that I enjoy, something I've pursued for the last several years, is something that to her is summer. It makes her happy. She feels like, oh, this is summer because my dad's mowing the grass and my mom is doing the flowers. This is summer for me. And I don't know, it just kind of, number one, it made me feel really good. But also, what was I going to say? So this what happens. Actually, this happens when I'm not recording at nighttime either. But because I think I said something that I wasn't supposed to say yet, but that's fine. But it's interesting as I pursue it, which I'm in a little bit of a frenzy right now, I'm not gonna lie, because I don't know what it is. But, well, I know what it is. When you have people come to your house, and even though we are not hosting our open house at our house, we have family coming in. And, it's been a while since they've been here, and they don't always come in the summer. So I want them to see my hard work, my harvest of flowers or whatever that I've been working on. And so I've been trying to weed and plant and do all this stuff. And then, like, you dive into things that don't need to be done, but all of a sudden, like, you're like, oh, I'm here. I might as well do it. And then you're like, actually, I should really be like trying to find pictures because I haven't printed any pictures of my children in ever. So I should probably be doing that. But no, here I am fiddling with this. Can anyone say amen? They totally get it. I feel like you're with me. And Paul keeps reminding me, he's like, Erin, he's like, it's not at our house. You don't need to have all this stuff done. He did say to me the other day, if they came right now, it would look great. And I was like, what is wrong with you? No, this is not great. This is not fine. The difference between a guy and a girl are just, if you're a girl, you get it. You realize in every woman there's a little bit of a Martha, okay? All of us have a Martha in us, which, on a side note, I actually spoke on Martha for my Mother's Day message. And the topic of my message was, whose feet are you sitting at? And I talked about how Martha was frantically getting ready. And, I'm sure she saw every mark, every nick, every stain. I don't know if they had stains back then. I'm sure they did. They had to have stains. And I don't know. I feel like you see the things that are broken in your house, which is currently happening before our open house. I see everything that's broken and we're trying to get it fixed. And which our kids were like, there's a lot of things broken. And Paul's like, welcome to owning a house. This is part of home ownership. Not only do you have to be able to afford your house, but you have to be able to afford the things that break in your house. Fun times. But I was talking about in my message, like when you have company over, like you're stressed out and all this stuff. And here Martha is like irritated with Mary. And I said something because, she goes to Jesus and she complains. So I say in my message, okay, I say, Martha has some kahunas to go to Jesus. This is what I say. Nobody says anything to me. I preach 2 services, okay? Nobody says anything to me the first service. But the second service, I say that again. Mary's got some kahunas to go to Jesus. And I see my son cracking up with Paul. And I realized in that moment that kahunas is a word for balls. And like legit. Like I knew. Okay, here's the thing. Even my friend was like, did you really know what that meant? I was like, not entirely. Like, I just thought it was like, it would give the idea of it, but not the crassness of it. I don't know. But anyways, I said it twice. It's on video. You can see it. And my kids were like, why didn't you tell mom after the first service? He's like, it was fine. So yeah, I preached and I said kahunas. And then I'm saying it on this podcast. Actually, Paul goes, are you going to tell your podcast listeners about that? And I was like, yes, because only me. My husband goes a little too far sometimes, but I went a little too far without knowing I went too little far. I did see a guy like kind of sitting like this in service with his hands folded, for those of you who are listening, and he didn't look very happy. But you know what? I don't take it back. I don't take it back because I really do believe that Martha had some kahunas to go tell Jesus how irritated she was with her sister. Anyways, so back to my gardening. We'll get back to it. I just had to tell you guys that because I just thought it was funny. So my neighbor, she is I would say gardener. She's always tinkering in her yard. Her yard looks beautiful. They come home from Florida. They have it cleaned up in like 2 days or something, it feels like. And me, it takes a while. But she's always kind. And she's always like, you know what? You're busy. She's giving me a pass or what. But I was planning some stuff and she came over and she said, "Man, you sure do have a good eye for like flowers and putting them together and everything like that." And you guys, I just was so, I don't know. It was lovely. It just, after Abby's comment and then my neighbor says it to something I'm not that great at, you know, I was a little shocked. And actually, when she first said it, I started to tell her all the ways I wasn't a good gardener. And then I remembered a message that I had preached a long time ago of basically just say thank you. And I was like, Erin, just say thank you. She's giving you a compliment. And actually, you've worked really hard for this. So the fact that someone notices it and they're giving you a compliment on it, say thank you. So that's just a little side note. If you've been working hard at something and somebody, even if you feel like you're not that great at it, but you enjoy it and you're doing it and someone tells you you're doing a good job, say thank you. Don't cut yourself down. That could be a whole podcast in itself. Don't cut yourself down. Say thank you. Maybe I needed to do that message. I'd have to find that one. That's a good one. Anyways, so on that day that my neighbor came over, my husband was mowing his lawn. And our neighbor came over and chatted, and they've been talking, and Paul's been inviting him to church and stuff like that. And they were talking mower talk, which is not my kind of talk. And our neighbor was saying how his mower wasn't working that great. And Paul said, so, I had a moment, a good, like, learn to be a good neighbor moment. He said, because he, you know, was telling me that his mower wasn't working really well. And he's like, and I knew that I should offer my mower. But my husband's mower is his baby. I mean, I'd almost say it's his mistress. I mean, he's like, if you want to go out in the garage and talk to her, you can. And he'll kind of walk by her and check her out. I'm like, bro, what's going on here? I have to contend with a mower. It's true. And maybe if you're a guy and you love your mower or you love your whatever, your truck or whatever, maybe you can totally understand. But so Paul was like, he did offer. Good job, honey. I know that took a lot of strength to offer it, but you did. And I'm so proud of you. And so he did offer his mower. And I mean, like, Paul washes this thing down. After he mows, she gets a bath. I don't know what she gets, but she gets washed down and all this stuff. And so, and it was a big deal, but he did it. And so, but it was interesting. Like Paul said, if you need to borrow it, let me know. And then next thing we knew, our neighbor was on his clickety clack mower, and it's older, and he was mowing. So on the side of our yard, we have like these kind of higher weeds, and I asked Paul, like, can we like mow those? Because it looks kind of, And then I'm like, we're working hard on this yard, and then I see, and he's like, I don't know if our mower can handle it, kind of thing. That's why I haven't done it. I'm like, okay, yeah, we don't want to ruin the mower, but we don't want to ruin the mower because he did run over our grandpuppy's leash thing in the yard and kind of ate that up. So we don't want to ruin it. That costs money. We have enough things to fix. We don't need to fix anything else. And so he came over and he like mowed it down, and even my neighbor was like, oh my gosh, that looks so nice. And I was like, that was so kind of him. And I don't know if because Paul offered his mower and he was like, I want to do something nice. The other day he weed whipped our front yard because we had service in the park, which is across from our house. And he was like, I want everyone to see your nice yard. It's so kind. So kind. And so yeah, it just, I don't know, cleaned up our yard beautifully. Now, I want to take you back to a moment because remember I said that I had an opportunity, but I kind of didn't take it? Well, this is what happened. So earlier in the week, a friend's daughter found out that her venue canceled on her, which I've been there with my daughter Amanda's wedding, so I totally get it. So I was like, okay, what do we need to do? And we're just talking about different places. I was trying to get her numbers to places. She had this outdoor venue. She really wanted to get married outside and everything, which fits her style and stuff like that. And so I was like, well, the church is available. This is how we kind of did it. It's a small wedding, so it would work and everything. And so she was like, okay, that sounds good. We'll walk through. And so I, but as she was telling me, I thought to myself, she wants an outdoor wedding. You should offer your yard. Now, it's not that I didn't offer it because I was like, I don't want people here. It was more like, well, would they think it's nice or not? Probably not. And is that weird to be like, hey, you can get married in my backyard? I don't know. But I had enough thoughts of why I shouldn't do it that I didn't offer it. Okay. That's the point I'm making. So I dismissed it until I was walking her through the church. And so they got married, and then they're going to have their, like, a lot of couples we have found recently, like for different reasons, are like, we want to do things right. So we want to get married. And then just like with us and you guys, and then we're going to have our wedding. So that's what they were doing. And so I was walking her through the church so she could see everything. And her husband, fiance, um, came up and he was like, is this what you want? Which I am so proud of him because he knew enough of what she wanted and didn't want her to settle. And I just thought it was so sweet because he kept looking at her and she was like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And he's like, are you sure? And she was like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And I looked at her and I'm like, what do you envision? I said, here's the thing. When Paul and I got married, I wanted an outdoor wedding really, really bad. And everyone said it was stupid. People were not getting married outside. That was not a thing when we got married. And so I didn't do it. Looking back, I wish we would have. We had a gorgeous day. It would have been beautiful to get married outside, but we didn't do it. And I said, honestly, I really think that if this is something you want to do it. I said, and and she was like, well, I don't know where we would do it. And then I heard that Holy Spirit voice going, you have another opportunity, girlfriend, to offer it. And of course, I still had the thoughts of like, well, is that dumb? Is she going to be like, no, I don't want to get. And I said, I'm just going to offer it. But, we've done a lot of work on our yard. If it's something that you would potentially want to do, if you want to drive by right now, go look at it, see what you think. And I saw both of their eyes kind of light up like, huh. And I said, just go look at it. No, I am not offended if you say, no, this is not what we're looking for. Not a problem, not an issue. And so they went and looked. We got home. They were still walking around. And I went up to her and I was like, so what do you think? And she looked at me and she said, honestly, this is what I envisioned for my wedding. She said, even the place that we had originally booked did not have pine trees, and I have wanted pine trees, and you have pine trees. And so it's a part of the yard on the side, which actually is a part of the yard that our neighbor just the day before had come and mowed down beautifully. I mean, it took on a whole different look being mowed down. And that is the exact spot, you guys, that she envisions her wedding at. And I just, I don't know. If that doesn't move your heart, I don't know. I mean, I could just see in her face, she was just like, it's not even the part that's landscaped, you guys. So it has nothing to do with me. It's not like my yard is so gorgeous that they just have to get married here. It's not even the part that I've worked tirelessly on. It's the part that my neighbor mowed down. But I just thought, oh my goodness, it hit me. As I was looking at her face, it hit me. You just got to be a part of a God wink for this bride. How awesome is that? I don't know. It overwhelmed me. And just, I don't know, almost brought me to tears just to think that, not only does God give us God winks, but he gives us these opportunities to be a part of providing that for other people. It kind of reminded me of an episode of a podcast that I just listened to. Um, because this moms, they're soccer moms, and they would go undercover because nobody would think of them as being like investigators. So they kind of flew under the radar. Like, that's what God gives us an opportunity sometimes, is to be like part of his plan, part of his operation. You know what I mean? Like secret operation of blessing someone, and you get this great opportunity of being a part of that. And how awesome is that? I mean, I don't know. I just felt so, even now, I feel like lost for words because I'm just like, I can't even believe that really happened, to be honest. Um, I don't know. He invites us to be a part of like an execution of a plan. When you think of a surprise party or something like that, that's like goes right, and you're like, and you're telling the people, like, yeah, and then we did this, and then we did that, and then you didn't know that about this, and you didn't know about that. And the person's so surprised and feels so blessed. It's like you were a part of that. And that's what he invites us into that. Isn't that so cool? I mean, I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but I hope you're thinking about it now. And here's the thing, it doesn't even have to be something big. Okay, maybe some of you are like, I do not want to offer my backyard for a wedding. Nope, I'm not doing that. It could be something small. I got a blessing and then I got to give a blessing, because that's, to me, what God winks are. They're blessings. They're blessings that God gives us. We don't deserve them, you guys, and yet he does them. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you this little story. So I went to go get mulch for all the gardening I've been doing. And when I went to check out the mulch, there was a lady there. Her son went to school with my oldest daughter. And she said, "Oh, I heard Liz moved." And I thought, how does she know that? And she's like, "Oh, I listened to your podcast." And then she had some really nice things to say. And it really blessed me, because honestly, that is always a God wink to me to continue to do this podcast. So if you've ever told me, like, "Hey, I listened to your podcast," just so you know, that always blesses me. Like, always. It just gives me, some weeks are hard to get this done, just time management, which I'm not always the best at, but it's so fulfilling to me. And I'm like, do people listen? And so when people listen, it's just like, it blesses me. So I got super blessed by her telling me that. And as I was driving home, I called a friend who I knew needed mulch, and I was like, "Hey, they have it on sale." And she was like, "Oh, awesome. Thanks for letting me know." Oh, shoot, I have the wrong car. And I just felt like the Lord said, "You got a whole car full of mulch, girl. Go drop some bags off at her house. She's getting ready for an open house." And so I was like, "I'll bring you some." She's like, "No, no, no." I'm like, "I'll bring it." So I dropped off some mulch. I got blessed. And then 5 minutes later, I got to turn around and bless somebody else. Small. It's not this massive thing. It's a small way to be a part of a God wink, which I don't know how. I've probably said this like 10 times since I started this podcast. How cool is that? Um, I don't know. I just feel like it always overwhelms me that God takes the time to show us that he sees us. I mean, think of the world. The world is, there are so many things bigger, okay? Bigger than TVs, bigger than mulch, bigger than the perfect spot for a wedding, I mean, and yet because those things matter to us, God says, I care about it. And I have decided that I think it's, as much as I love a good God wink, as much as I love a blessing from him, I love even more to be a part of a blessing, which is super scriptural, just so you know. But, and all of you are like, "We know, Erin." Acts 20, verse 35, it says, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." So I'm just putting all this out here to encourage you to go be a part of a God wink. however small it is, or big, maybe it's huge. I don't know. But I just love that I'm hearing this culture of us beginning to use this word God wink. And it's literally, like I said, almost every day someone's saying, you know what God did? I got a God wink. Do you know what happened? I got a God wink. Let it become a part of our conversation, and not just let it be a part of our conversation, but let's do it. Let's be a part of it. How exciting, how fulfilling is that we get to be on a plan with God? I love it. So go do it. And yeah, just wanted to share that with you today. Love you. See you soon.